Sheriff Campbell, we're going to sit with you, and this is from a reader in Willow Springs. What can be done in the future about these First Amendment fraudsters' harassment? 1 minute.
First Amendment, what?
This is referring to the First Amendment auditor activity. The person phrased it as First Amendment fraudsters. 1 minute.
So again, with First Amendment auditors, the professional ones, I understand what they're doing. It's our job to maintain an open government. The ones that kind of harass us and things like that, education of our staff to make sure that they understand constitutional law, what a public forum is, what a non-public forum is. And, you know, hopefully legislation pass something legislative to give us the right around rule that these people interfere with government operations. We can do something about it, because the unprofessional ones you see kind of here locally, they just come to harass and try to get something to get us provoked to do something that hopefully our staff won't do, but that's their goal. And they totally interfere with operations during those times.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts, your response.
Folks, as most of you well know, I'm very familiar with First Amendment auditors. I was at the Bear Valley or Bear Crossing truck wash recently when Mr. Fish showed up and caused a scene, and I was able to successfully de-escalate that situation. Prior to that, I dealt with Mr. Jimmy Haig, another well-known First Amendment auditor in this area. And the way the law is and the Constitution is, this is a First Amendment protected freedom of speech. And this, if you want to consider it a problem, is here to stay. Private business owners, private landowners can ask them to leave their property, but I don't feel like there's a lot that's going to be able to be done with this issue.
Thank you. What does community-based policing mean to you, and how will you ensure transparency to the public you serve? 1 minute.
So transparency is basically providing, if you look at my website, everything that comes to you, that's transparent. I try to engage the community with biannual surveys to get community feedback so that help me move forward with the plans you may have. So this is not only cool. Community, we cannot rest our way of situations we find in society. So community is a key aspect of policing. So you have to have those networks and those relationships built. But I try to publish everything that I can. There is nothing hidden. There's nothing that I will hide. I'm an open book, and it was happening.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts. A part of community policing is transparency. What does community-based policing mean to you, and how will you ensure transparency to the public you serve?
So to me, community-based policing is getting out in our cities, in our towns, in our community, and being seen, being out there and integrating with our community. Over this last few months I've spent on the campaign trail, I can't tell you how many folks I've had to say, who's the sheriff now? We don't know the sheriff. Who are these deputies? They're all brand new, we don't know them. Where's Shannon Hall? Where's Buddy Thompson? Where are the guys that we know that we've been here for 10, 15 years? They're gone. Why is that? So as far as transparency goes, transparency is more than just posting things on Facebook that look good. Transparency is being transparent about hard things and telling you things. Putting the budget out there for people to see. That was a promise Sheriff Campbell made in 2022, and he has not done that. He's not showing you where the money's going. He's not showing you the real reasons that people are leaving. He's not showing you the exit interviews or the lack thereof of these people. We have to be absolutely transparent.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Roberts, we're going to stay with you. This is a question submitted by someone here tonight. Your recent post absolutely degraded the intelligence of our community with your apparent, quote, dumbing down the importance of articulate communication with the use of what you call, quote, big words. Transparency and the ability to communicate well are very much needed when it comes to the elected office of sheriff. The sheriff of our county must be able to communicate well, both in the written word as well as in speech when dealing with the public, writing successful grants, maintaining accurate records, etc. We should all strive to be lifelong learners. Therefore, what is your educational background as well as your previous leadership skills that warrant you to be a successful and well-established leader in our community?
Okay, So, and as everybody here, I attended high school, I graduated high school, top of my class, I was a plus graduate. I attended a little bit of college in addition to the Missouri Sheriff's Academy. Again, I'm an operated a business, it specifically mentioned grants in there. I've written numerous successful grants, getting several $100,000 to the sheriff's office. The purpose of that post was not to dumb down any publication we're putting out. The purpose of that post was that I'm about words, not about action. And these 14 words that we're using in the Facebook post, nobody understands. That does not resonate with the public. We need to speak to the public in a way that they understand, and we're not alienating people that don't understand some of these big words. So if you look back over the last 3 years of Facebook posts on Howell County Sheriff's Office page, or look at the website that I wanted to mention, you don't see much of this stuff on there that's being pushed out to the public. It's not understandable by some of those that are educated.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. Chair Campbell, about 1 minute.
Well, for one, I'd like to go over the hard things. There will be a transparency document. You all know who's hired, things like that. The employment and some of the things that can be addressed. Budget, and what I said, I would make a forward-facing budget. That's absolutely important to me. Exit interviews are also needed, but with the list of things I need to accomplish, that's kind of first part of the list. Do they have benefit? Absolutely. So again, what was the big word? Is that
No, the question that's asked is, what is your educational background as well as your previous leadership skills? That's the question.
I don't have college education, but I have numerous hours in college. I've been in some numerous advanced leadership classes. I was a team leader within South Central Drug Task Force. I'm sure 3.7 years. I did graduate high school.
Thank you. I have this question about how much are we spending on salaries?
I don't have that information, and I can't answer that.
Chair Campbell?
I've got it in my file folder over there, but anywhere between the two, the commission and non-commission, we're spending, anywhere about 2.3 and 2.4 million.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to stick with Sheriff Campbell for this next question from a reader from West Plains who is here tonight. Mr. Roberts brought up the point that there are people within Howell County who do not know who our current sheriff is. You had 4 years to create a relationship. Why haven't those relationships been established and held on to at a trustworthy status? 1 minute.
I haven't had relationships. I mean, I'm an administrator. I have to maintain sheriff's operations. I'm a board of citizens. I have built numerous relationships throughout this community. I have built numerous relationships with the city community policing. I remember when we sold a hand with a man in West Plains, and the main credit, the RC Price was president, or the authority sheriff, and that was 18 years ago. So again, I'm trying to do, I have built relationships, I have done what I do, I've seen this far in the community, they didn't have it on the past. So I really don't know if you see that, they didn't always come see me, they call me, but I can knock on the door.
Something you guys asking me to knock on the door of 47,000 citizens here. We're asking that you're in the office. We're asking that when we call you, you answer when we return that call. I've talked to dozens of people over the past few months. Some folks that you know and says they had an issue and they reached out to you and you never called them back. So as your sheriff, I would be in the office during office hours. You know, for years I worked for Mike Shannon. He was there 7 o'clock every morning drinking a cup of coffee when we came in the door, and he was there till the day was over. I will not prioritize my farm over your sheriff's office.
Never had.
Thank you.
Never had.
Okay. Mr. Roberts, you're going to start us off next time with another question from the other individual who was brave enough to sign his name to this question. This is from Danny down in West Plains. In regards to law enforcement management experience, Mr. Roberts, please describe how many years you have in different areas of law enforcement. 1 minute.
Okay, so about 18 years total. I was a reserve officer in West Plains Police Department until 2014, which is working for Sheriff Shannon. During that time, I was also on the SWAT team. I've got about 15 years on the SWAT team. And in mid-2010s, I took a role with the SWAT team as the assistant team leader and was eventually promoted to the troop leader of that. So I was supervising and leading over 15 men in various tactical operations. Under Sheriff Campbell, I was patrol corporal, supervising 9 SROs and patrol deputies, and then Sheriff Campbell promoted me to a lieutenant over the jail where I supervised about 15 employees, in addition to the SWAT team guys I was supervising. So about 30 during that time, and the inmates in that. So I think I have sufficient experience in supervision and leadership there.
Thank you. Rebuttal, Sheriff Campbell. 1 minute.
Well, through that, you have to have results and get results, but 1.3 years, I don't have any leadership performance with me. Again, with all the back, there is the time on, nobody understands how many meetings I go to after hours, and I'm on the phone tonight, the time has been to the sheriff's office. I've never reported, probably my family would tell you that I had the sheriff's office, I've been in the farm. So experience, again, almost, the dentist term, we have 24 years of experience. Again, the dentist term, 4 years, your sheriff, team leader for substitute task force, sustaining 60 personnel. And again, 60 personnel in the sheriff's office. And how many divisions with navigating that sort of in the sheriff's office.
Thank you. We're going to stay with you, Sheriff Campbell. This is submitted by someone here tonight from West Plains. Why are there so many patrol cars sitting within the city limits of West Plains? 1 minute.
Again, that is something that I have addressed time and time again. I'm not there 24/7, so my staff, we heard me complain about it consistently. I understand a lot of the crime demographic happens within 15-mile radius of West Plains. That's why I'm standing up the substation. That's why I'm getting trying to get out of West Plains. It has always been important to get them out of West Plains, and I have written my opponent. You know, you have those strength West Plains, they are county officers. I've attempted and pushed, but it takes supervisors, and I cannot be there 24/7. They keep them out of the city and what they do. And that's always been important.
Thank you. Mr. Raleigh.
During my time as a patrol corporal, that was not the case while I was on duty and supervising. My deputies and I were out and about in the community being proactive. What has happened in the last year, 2 years since I left that post as a corporal is we've seen a drop in morale. And the deputies do not want to get out there and do anything that makes the sheriff look good. And they communicated that to me. I've impressed upon that that's not the right attitude to have, but they are disheartened with the way things are going in our sheriff's office.
Thank you. Stay with you, Mr. Roberts, for this question submitted by someone from Willow Springs here tonight. Mr. Roberts, you said you were the jail administrator. Why didn't you do anything for Willow Springs? 1 minute.
I'm not sure what I could have done for the city of Willow Springs as a jail administrator. I don't really understand what they're asking for here. Are they asking for something as far as taking prisoners?
I don't know who this person is. They did not sign anything, but I was sad that it has to do with the allegation that was missing internally from Willow Springs City. Go ahead and get 47 seconds left.
If that's the case, I did do something, and I frequently visited with various agencies and whatnot when they had issues with getting people in, and even Lieutenant Nelson from West Plains, he called me one night on Sunday night and said, hey, hello, Charles, this is what's going on. After I got on the phone with him, I called and I got that sorted out. So if I wasn't aware of the situation, I can fix it. But the standing rule was that we did everything in our power to make the room to take these inmates.
Thank you. Rebuttal, Sheriff Campbell.
And I agree. You know, talking to staff, but we do not have room. We can actually lock down inmates and we'll free up space and holding cell. Not leaving them. We have another additional holding cell, but they're our holding cell. Full. So again, they do what they can within the facility. There's only so many holding cells we have. So we cannot hold the investigator or whatever it is in the city. That's just what it is. The jail is only the thing it is. So we did what we could do and help what we could help, and that is that.
Thank you. And stay with you, Sheriff Campbell, for this next question submitted by someone from here tonight. Sheriff Campbell, I feel safer because you are sheriff and I don't want to go back to the good old boys Barney Fife days. What do you want to accomplish in your second term? 1 minute.
My second term is honestly, just like I said earlier, statewide, the changes we made. My second term, we were getting operational in the first term. I knew it would be the most difficult. The second term is everything about community. We're starting to see some initiatives coming out, and just to build those relationships with the community. So again, we can't arrest ourselves out of this, but some of the issues that we can fight together as a community and law enforcement. So initiatives in the next term would be stability, talent. I've got this in my closing statement that I'll give you. But the second term is about you all, citizens, moving forward in community.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts. Sheriff Campbell, I feel safe because you are sheriff, and I don't want to go back to the good old boys Barney Fife days. What do you want to accomplish in your second term?
Well, folks, I can't speak to the second term, it's not Sheriff Campbell, but I can tell you that the proactivity of our deputies has diminished. The cases numbers being sent to the prosecutor's office has diminished. So while you might see flashing cars sitting on the side of the road and fancy Facebook posts, our community is no safer today than it was 4 years ago. Sheriff Campbell talks about getting operational. I'm sorry, but that's a slap in the face of the sheriffs beforehand, because this office has been operational for 150 plus years. This office operates day to day, whether the sheriff is there or someone else is there. It doesn't matter who's at the helm. What matters is the deputies are empowered to do their jobs and get out in this community and solve crimes and fight crimes.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts, I'm going to stay with you for this next question, and I have to correct myself, folks. There is another person who was brave enough to write his name on the question. So this is from Buddy Thompson in West Plains. Mr. Roberts spoke of a culture change when Campbell took office. How would you describe this culture? 1 minute.
This culture was brought about shortly after Sheriff Campbell introduced this manual to the sheriff's office. And what we began to see was a shift from a law enforcement agency to a desire to be a branch of the United States Army. And while I respect the U.S. Army and our veterans, what we started to see was things that did not apply to us. Our deputies were covered up in paperwork. They were paraded and threatened with being written up or terminated for uniform issues. Folks, we cannot treat our employees like that. We have got to show our employees that they're valued and that we value everything they do for us from the time they show up to the time they leave. And unfortunately, under Sheriff Campbell and Mayor Daniel, that was not happening.
Thank you. Sheriff Campbell, go.
For one of my deputies and staff have always been a priority. You cannot manage what you cannot see. You cannot manage what you cannot measure. So there were systems put in place for oversight and management. Absolutely. The uniform and presence means something. Absolutely. So it wasn't about military. It wasn't about anything. It was standing up systems to have oversight. So my managers could manage and getting the proper systems in the right place. Period.
Thank you. Sheriff Campbell, we're going to stick with you for a question submitted tonight from someone from Willow Springs. A visit to the facilities, the Howell County Jail, could be shocking. I was under the assumption this was a priority during your tenure. Why have things not changed? It is not just a dated facility. It is filthy, stuffed full of boxes and things that are broken. Much could be done with elbow grease. It is clear it is clear that no one cares. Why is that? 1 minute.
Again, when I walked in the office, we talked a little bit about floors a second ago. I'm supposed to just say the jury on its head. I think the floors were unsalvageable. I put the floors in to give it a little bit meaning. I agree, we had an awful lot of certain things in the sheriff's office. I had to be quick because I had to clean. So again, I agree wholeheartedly. It is shocking. It is shocking that somebody can put trash over the trash. It's shocking that you just throw something in the floor and not clean it up. It is shocking to think about it. It's just in my time there. And I absolutely agree. But there's only so much you can do in the city. You know, you put it in something on the law, it's still dated. But I agree 100%. We normalize things we should normalize. We let things fit. Again, part of that we have mistakes. But I'm shocked with the statement of what we used to claim, and it's how I had to line stop because we were struggling. So I agree 100%, it is shocking, but it has to do with the initiative and ownership, what a big time. Good plan.
Thank you. Mr. Zerwitz, rebuttal.
Folks, this goes back to the morale and the environment in the sheriff's office. Happy employees don't let the trash overflow. Happy employees will keep a clean work environment. The boxes stacked and the broken stuff, that's because we're buying things we don't need and it sits in the hallway for months and months on end. We sweep and mop around it for months, like the tasers I mentioned earlier. Those were ordered in December. They're still sitting in a box today.
They just showed up 3 weeks ago.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts, we're going to stick with you. For this next question submitted by someone here tonight. Who was in charge at the jail the night the lady died? I'm sure you know what I'm referring to. 1 minute, sir.
So I was still the jail administrator at the time of the death. I had already tendered my resignation to Sheriff Campbell. He was gone on vacation. That night when I was surprised at the incident, the second in command of the jail called me, told me what was going on, and I told him immediately, get her to the hospital. Unfortunately, that did not happen before she collapsed. But what I do want to mention and bring to light is that when I tried to call Sheriff Campbell that night, he sent me the voicemail. He wouldn't even speak to me after I tendered my resignation, even about an issue as pressing as a death in his facility.
Sheriff Campbell, rebuttal.
I absolutely did not send him the voicemail. My undersheriff called me that night. I don't know what he's referring to. Again, more about saying false facts. He was over to the jail. My staff did an amazing job. It's been investigated. I mean, they couldn't do any more than they did. So I applaud them for the life-saving efforts they attempted to do. But the young lady, you couldn't bring her back. So, but the staff did amazing. I did not send him a voicemail, and I don't recall if I was on vacation, which I think it's 1 in 3 years, or if I was trained.
Thank you. I'm going to stick with you, Sheriff Campbell, for a question submitted from someone here tonight. Have you ever written a grant, and for what?
Goodness, the sheriff's office in its entirety is $23 million in grants. I've written numerous grants. I wrote a grant for 2 additional officers before I became sheriff in 2020. I wrote that grant. I wrote a grant, a 2-year grant, or a grant in additional money for Michael Lewis, the crisis intervention program specialist. I wrote grants for a multitude of things, some received, some not. But in its entirety, the sheriff's office did an amazing job of grants and grant proposals. But like I said, over not counting what has been done this year, over 2.3 million, 2.5 million.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts, have you ever written a grant?
I have. I've written multiple grants over my tenure at the sheriff's office. I wrote the grant that got the new canine dog. I wrote the grant from the CDC that got us $275,000 plus for the jail for COVID mitigation. As a matter of fact, I wrote a grant for a sheriff that's at I wrote a grant for that sheriff to get 2 cages for his patrol cars because his patrol cars did not have cages. I wrote a grant since then for Morgan County to get them some breaching tools for their deputies. So I'm well versed in the grant process and how to get grants approved. I did have one denied last year because the sheriff's office had failed to report its NIBRS and UCR reporting to the state of Missouri. So that was kind of a gut punch to put all that work into that and then for the ball to get dropped on something as important as NIBRS and UCR reporting.
Thank you. Someone here tonight from West Plains. How will you each ensure that the missing people will be found or better investigated?
Say that again.
How will each of them, you two, ensure that the missing people will be found or be better investigated?
Again, as we get more investigators on, I mean, that's again, it's an absolute, we want to solve these cases. Absolutely want to solve these cases. Again, we like with staffing, if I get additional depth, we can divert and make an investigator reopen that. I want to bring back the major case law, and that's something we can work on together. But as far as saying that we're making a guarantee, there are no guarantees in crime here. We will have that adjudication per day. I would absolutely love to vote.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts, rebuttal.
Folks, I think we can all, there's no way that I can come up with a different line to this first. What I can tell you is that I will devote the necessary resources to reopening and reinvestigating these cases. Sheriff Campbell mentioned to make a case, so that was a promise he made all last campaign. And that hasn't happened. And the reason that hasn't happened is because the other agencies in our area don't care to work with us. The relationships are so strained that these agencies don't want to be a part of cases with us.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Roberts, for this question submitted by someone here tonight from Willow Springs. Matt, why did you get 3.2 federal property? I think that's supposed to be a dollar amount, 3.2 federal property that has yet to be physically accounted for by yourself, the property holder of the federal equipment?
I'm not sure I understand the total premise of the question, but I will say that I was over the West Coast program, that's probably what they're talking about, for a short time. Buddy Thompson down was over before that, and Mike Holder before that. All of the property that we got was approved by Sheriff Campbell. We got a number of things, pieces of equipment to use out here for the shooting range. We've got an armored vehicle that's going to be, $1 million of that probably. As far as why I am still showing you the property holder, I couldn't tell you. I'm not in the sheriff's office since March of this year, and it hasn't been accounted for. We do a yearly audit for each piece of equipment. As a matter of fact, Sergeant Smith is over that program at this point. I spoke with him earlier that week. He was asking for some assistance with that program, and he told me that he has accounted for every piece of equipment. So I don't know where that information is coming from.
Thank you. Sheriff Campbell, rebuttal, 1 minute.
So again, yes, he was over the DOTSO program. I have more permanent things as anybody can say. It has not been accounted for. There are audits. He left. We have been, from February when he left, up until recently, we have even got the track and locked out on what we have on the track items. I have no idea what has been purchased as far as any other contract item that's all off the books. In its entirety, the sheriff's office, we have not a complete roll up of property, what is left, what is gone, and it's not just the LESO program. But we own more property in the LESO program, and it is not been accounted for, and it has not been addressed properly.
Thank you. Sheriff Campbell, we are going to stick with you for this next question submitted from someone here tonight from Mountain View. Sheriff Campbell, what do you believe is the reason for such a high recidivism rate in Howell County? And what do you think can be done about it? 1 minute.
It's a community partnership. Recidivism in jail, you have to provide somebody purpose, open direction. So with that, through the jail navigators, the courses, given employment things when they come out, they give them a little bit of purpose and hope. But the environment we live in, the substitute problem we have, and it's one of the main drivers. So we do see a lot of repeat offenders, as far as the criminal go, a small percentage of our community are actually criminal. But there has to be programs on the backside or something to help them navigate the real world out here. And again, this community center, understanding that the majority of people aren't bad people, they just need a hand up, not a hand out, but a hand up. So there's a lot of education gaps, discussion of bigger family, there's a lot of things going into play as far as recidivism and environment.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts.
It's my opinion that the high recidivism rate is due to a lack of accountability and a lack of stiff penalties for those that commit these crimes. We see it constantly, cases not being filed, cases being dismissed. Folks, if we can sit for penalties for these folks, they probably think twice before they recommit these crimes.
Mr. Roberts, we're going to stick with you. This question submitted by someone here tonight from West Plains. What is being done about meth, heroin, and fentanyl use in our county? 1 minute.
Other than just to be proactive things, I don't believe there's much being done in the sheriff's office. We have a narcotics division, but it is not staffed. Sheriff Campbell has 17 years of narcotics experience. I would have thought that one of his top priorities would be to staff that narcotics division and get some people working these issues. It's no secret in our county that drugs are a major issue, and those drugs are very closely linked to the theft in this county. So as your next sheriff, I will immediately put someone in that narcotics division and get somebody working these problems.
So again, there is a problem. The division within
Yes,
that.
Sheriff Campbell, I'm so sorry, we're gonna stick with the format. It's your rebuttal, my mistake, please go ahead, 1 minute.
There are other divisions within the sheriff's office that haven't been built. It's built for scalability. So that necessary division bill, the personnel will go there, that's necessary. Absolutely, I would love to have narcotics. Necessary. I would absolutely love to have a internal affairs person dedicated to that. I would absolutely love to have a training person position dedicated. But as far as going back to the drugs and crime, it's not only narcotics. Yes, it is a systemic problem in our area. As far as practice, we work with the South Central Drug Task Force. We do make cases out here. We do have proactive cases down activities, but they are proactive, they are making cases. We have the narcotics license here. It's just with drugs, with what we see here currently is something that is, I don't understand. From the 18 years of experience in narcotics, why do we have such a huge problem in the United States?
Sheriff Campbell, we're going to sit with you for a question from someone here tonight from West Plains. Sheriff Campbell, have you been campaigning during the Monday through Friday work week? Have you placed signs on property without the owner's permission? 1 minute.
No, I cannot campaign, or I take a off campaign. That's one thing about being a sheriff. I mean, every 4 years, you gotta run to this office. I guess probably, before you get other people talking, probably dedicated too much time to the sheriff's office, not just take him off when we campaign. But I still haven't made anything operational things with the sheriff's office. We have good staff, and I probably said away, but it's, I feel guilty. No, I have never, I saw something that somebody told me about that, leaving a sign on somebody's property. I have not left any sign on anybody's property, or yard sign, or anything else that weren't requested from us, and my wife and I went around and delivered like yard signs together.
Thank you. Mr. Rob.
So during these last few months, I've had several people reach out to me. I'm not going to name them, but if they want to speak up or chime in on the live feed and help themselves, that's fine. That have said that they were surprised when they walked out of their house and had a Campbell sign in their yard. And they've requested that I brought a sign and either put that down or put mine up. And I haven't taken any of these down because that's a violation of the law. But and just last week, I had a business owner reach out to me and he said, there's a Campbell sign in front of my business I didn't ask for. Bring me one of yours and one of your t-shirts while you're at it. So this is definitely happening, folks.
Thank you.
No idea, sorry.
What improvements have been made to the jail? Why has there been no follow through when you gave us your word?
So again, why that hadn't been accomplished, I've kind of explained that. Jail, if things fail, if things, I came into no inspections, no upkeep, no management of systems as far as inspections, HVAC, lock mechanisms, things like that. So if things kind of fail, we got to replace it, we go and it's kind of reactive. We've done what we can do as far as any updates.
That is your time, Sheriff Campbell. Thank you. Mr. Roberts, you're out 1 minute.
Preventative maintenance is not upgrades, folks. He promised you jail upgrades, security upgrades. He promised that he was going to show you where the money was going, and he has not done that. Why is that? When I was a jail administrator, I spoke with Sheriff Campbell multiple times about upgrading things like the lights that were not functional, the locking systems, trying to get things, the conditions of the jail improved. And the money just wasn't there. And come to find out, after I left, I started doing some digging, and it's because the budget was overspent last year. Not only did we not stay within the budget, we went over it. So, folks, he gave you his word and he didn't follow through. That's all I can tell you.
There was not one work order produced by this jail. There was no.
I'm sorry, we're going to move on to the next question, but we can stay with the jail because that is a very, very important topic here. Let me just, okay. We've all seen the pictures of a substandard jail, and we've all heard the promises that it needs to be replaced. We had a tax increase, there were promises, and almost 4 years, there have been new uniforms, new cars, new deputies, and the same old overcrowded jail conditions and poor working conditions for officers. You're refusing to take prisoners from other police agencies, which you are required by law to accept. You say you have no room, yet you take on your own prisoners. Are we going to get 4 more years of this? This is Mr. Roberts' turn to answer the question, so you have first answer. 1 minute, please.
Well, I spent about 7 months under Sheriff Campbell as the jail administrator, and I can attest to some of these things. We were not taking prisoners because we were out of program. I put in a program to hire a local welder to come in and set up some new beds to increase our bed space. When I left in March, we paid for that in December. I don't know if that was done yet or not. So I don't know if the bed space has increased. When these outside agencies would call, I would do everything in my power to move these folks around and make the room that we can. I've heard some complaints from these agencies since I left that it's set stop. So I can't really account for what's been going on in the last few months.
Thank you. 1 minute.
He was there over 8 months. The 12 bed, that was my idea prior to him even coming to the office. He did reach out, got bids for it, and they have not completed it. Well, agency has not completed it. But again, these same credit right is that it's shared in the house. As far as updates, there's only so much you can do with the facility that was built in 1980. The last update or addition is 1997. He knows how many issues we have. He knows issues that we can't replace something. We have all go down there today, $2,600 to replace a locking mechanism. As far as overcrowding, I'm the one who reached out, jail, so reports, 540. These things I've been concerned about, explaining what's going on in the jail. Where we stay consistently overcrowded is my only one. So we have investigated, we have them helping people who shouldn't be in jail, but we have to maintain our holding, it's still healthy. So again, we do what we do within the program that we have, and we're doing the best we can.
Thank you. We're going to stick with you, Sheriff, for this next question from one of 2 readers who were brave enough to actually sign their name to the question, so kudos to this individual. It's a question from Kevin Faulkner of West Plains. As a Howell County taxpayer who voted for the Sheriff's Office tax, I would like to know specifically what you are going to do better with my tax money going forward. I would like to see good changes from my point of view. Be specific. 1 minute.
So, again, setting up operationally, so with this in the first round, and when the taxes, we didn't see the tax rate for 2023. So again, it's getting operational, getting the equipment that they need, and now it's about sustainability of what we have done. Now it's about trying to see what we can roll over to where if a new facility is pushed and the commission decides to do it or we do a bond issue, that enough money can be rolled. I didn't know we'll talk about how the county budget works and going over the budget. I can explain that. But every year, small non-funding accounts, I generally roll anywhere from $500,000 to the year that I went over budget, and hope I get a chance to explain that. I turned over $600,000, but cash on hand doesn't mean anything. So hopefully sometime tonight, if you guys want to know about the 100, whatever I went over budget on, I would gladly explain the process.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts.
Mr. Faulkner, thank you for your question. The first thing I'm going to do is from August to January, I'm going to start on the budget. And of course, I won't be able to finish it until January, until we know where the money is. But we've got to rein in the spending. We're buying things that we don't need and put it on a shelf in the back room for shop stock. Well, folks, we don't need 10 extra AR rifles. We didn't need to buy 20 extra suppressors. How are we going to buy, I think, 35 suppressors for rifles at a cost of $20,000? We didn't need tasers yet. We had a conversation about tasers, and it was determined that they weren't needed yet. The tasers we had, there was still a life expectancy there. But yet the sheriff spent $96,000 over the next 5 years on tasers. So, we put new floors in that sheriff's office, and we've already heard tonight that sheriff's office, it needs to be replaced. We spent $7,000 or $8,000 to land the floors and offices. Folks, this is your tax money, and it needs to be spent wisely. And the last 3.5 years, it has been wasted.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Due to the project being on the ARs and suppressors, I'd like to get that out there.
This is from a reader in Willow Springs. What can be done in the future about these First Amendment fraudsters' harassment? 1 minute.
First Amendment, what?
This is referring to the First Amendment auditor activity. The person phrased it as First Amendment fraudsters. 1 minute.
So again, with First Amendment auditors, the professional ones, I understand what they're doing. It's our job to maintain an open government. The ones that kind of harass us and things like that, education of our staff to make sure that they understand constitutional law, what a public forum is, what a non-public forum is. And, you know, hopefully legislation can pass something legislative to give us the right around rule that when these people interfere with government operations, we can do something about it. Because the unprofessional ones that you see kind of here locally, they just come to harass and try to get something to get us provoked to do something that hopefully our staff won't do, but that's their goal. And they totally interfere with operations during those times.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts, your response.
Folks, as most of you well know, I'm very familiar with First Amendment auditors. I was at the Bear Valley or Bear Crossing truck wash recently when Mr. Fish showed up and caused a scene, and I was able to successfully de-escalate that situation. Prior to that, I dealt with Mr. Jimmy Haig, another well-known First Amendment auditor in this area. And the way the law is and the Constitution is, this is a First Amendment protected freedom of speech. And this, if you want to consider it a problem, is here to stay. Private business owners, private landowners can ask them to leave their property, but I don't feel like there's a lot that's going to be able to be done with this issue.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts, we're going to stick with you. This is a question submitted by a reader in Willow Springs. If you were sheriff and you became aware that one of your deputies claimed and was paid for hours that he didn't work, and this was confirmed by your investigators, what would you do? How long would you wait?
Well, that's easy. Immediate termination. If this was confirmed by my investigator, which I know the situation you're talking about, and it was, that would be an immediate termination, and then we would pursue criminal charges against that deputy. In the situation that she's talking about, that issue was brought to light in April of this year, and that deputy was finally put on administrative leave after the investigation was passed to another agency to investigate a second time, just about 2 weeks ago when that deputy was put on administrative leave. So he continued to act as a law enforcement officer, to have access to the systems and utilize the office of sheriff for his benefit for 3 months after this came to light. Folks, that's absolutely unacceptable, and that is the kind of stuff that erodes the trust in our sheriff's office.
Thank you. Sheriff Kimball.
With that one was direct personnel, I don't know if I can speak to it, but there was a multitude of issues that occurred during that investigation, and I don't even know if I can speak to it properly because of the fact of, man, I want to so bad, but I just don't know if I can. So if things are properly channeled through the proper procedures, say a hypothetical, this came through and everything was properly done, if it was properly done, so as far as a formal complaint process, there wasn't voids in anything, absolutely, I agree. I'm handcuffed and transported my deputies to jail. But what I know they're talking about, I shouldn't really even be speaking about, but there are reasons why, and he was removed from overtime project, but I am going to be more conservative with the.
I want to stick with you, and this is a question from me that I think is going to help everybody understand because we're kind of skirting around it. Sheriff Kimball, what is your hesitation to speak out and speak plainly about these circumstances?
From an administrative standpoint, I can't talk about personnel issues. I can't go into detail. I will totally, when anything comes to light or whatever, when I afforded the opportunity and able to, I absolutely will let the citizens know. But being an administrator in HR issues and personnel issues, you cannot really speak to in any direct form of communication. So I probably went too far here tonight. We probably all did technically, but personnel issues are protected, and that person has rights, and certain procedures have to be followed. But that's fine.
Do you have a rebuttal, Mr. Roberts?
I do. Folks, this issue has been pending for 3 months. There was an investigation done. it was found that this crime happened, and rather than pursue charges, it was passed to another agency. That deputy should have been immediately placed on administrative leave, if not terminated. There's no excuse for this.
Again, he has no idea what he's talking about internally, or what happened during the course of that investigation.
You had 40 seconds on that.
So, folks, it's no secret that I still have ties to the Howell County Sheriff's Office. A number of those are members of the FOP, which recently endorsed me. They speak to me, they call me, they tell me what's going on in this agency. So I could lay out the entire investigation right here, right now, if I needed to, but I'm not going to do that.
Okay, Sheriff Campbell, we're going to stick with you. This is from a reader who's here tonight from West Plains. Sheriff Campbell, it appears as though you don't think Matt is capable of being a leader. Why did you promote him numerous times if you feel that way?
I don't feel like he's incapable. I was looking at taking him under to, like I am, obviously, I'd like him to see me down the road. But he doesn't have experience. He doesn't have time on as far as leadership goes. There are issues in the jail that we're not absolutely taking care of. I promoted him back into jail because there was lateral movement happening on the front side of the house, and I plan on him ready to match lieutenant on the patrol side. So there was things that I did on forecasting things to, he took initiative. He took things off my plate. So I promoted him due to that fact. And again, due to lateral movement coming out in the future. So I don't discredit him, but I think he needs time and experience. He's young, he's ambitious, and I give him that.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts, Ronald.
Sheriff Campbell is telling me that I don't have the experience and the leadership necessary to run this office. Folks, I have more time in uniform as a Howell County deputy than Sheriff Campbell currently does, even considering his 4 years as sheriff. I have been there. I have led multiple divisions. I've led the patrol division as a corporal. I've led the SWAT team, and I've been over the jail. I think I have proven that I'm capable of leading this office. So I think the experience, when you look at it, says for itself.
I wore a uniform for 3 years in the sheriff's office. I wore a uniform every day.
Sheriff Campbell. Okay, Mr. Roberts, we're going to move on to the next question from China Township. The funding question was glossed over, and I still do not understand where the increase in monies have gone. So this is referring to the law enforcement tax increase. More money came into the sheriff's department. Where has it gone?
Okay. Folks, I can't speak completely to where that money's gone, but since I've left the sheriff's office, numerous items I mentioned earlier have come to light, and I've done some records requests, and unfortunately those records requests are very slow in being answered, and they're not being answered completely. So unfortunately, I don't have the information here in front of me to give you the answer on where this money's going, but it is a substantial amount of money, and we need to know where it's going.
Sheriff Campbell.
Repeat the question again, please.
The funding question was glossed over, and I still do not understand where the increased monies have gone.
We've put on probably 16 additional staff. We've almost doubled the patrol division. With every patrol officer, that comes with just a yearly expense of a patrol car, his wages, with fringe and benefits. You're talking about a $76,000 to $80,000 position, plus equipment, a car, etc. A lot of what he's talking about, ARs and surplus. Again, he was project leads on those things. A lot of things he was project leads on, I keep getting the blame for. We've had to try to update the fleet. That's a consistent issue in the sheriff's office as far as keeping the cars due to deer strikes and things like that, and trying to get the older fleet, new fleet in. Again, I'm an open book, I'm transparent, and again, every year, cash on hand, I enroll a significant amount of money every year.
Thank you. Sheriff Campbell, we're going to stick with you from another brave soul signed his name. This is from Police Chief Wes Ellison here in Willow Springs. Sheriff Campbell, you have said that you want to take over Willow Springs and Mountain View Police. What would this accomplish? Why have you not commissioned any city officers? 1 minute, sir.
So early going on, again, as far as taking over, that's not true. before coming in office, Mike Shannon told me that there was not you had approached him, taking over that organization. I'm one that always have a plan, to have something in place and plan if something does fall. There was rumors that if Willow lost more officers, they're going to turn it over to us. So I always have a plan of action in place. As far as commissioning officers, that was something that I addressed with every organization, and the liability associated with that, just carrying my commission becomes an additional liability. Now, there needs to be MOUs in place. We discussed that. I've actually sent it to different organizations where we can still maintain operational authority in the county, but operate under that MOU and not carrying a commission. Because with that commission, I absorb liability of every officer that carries that commission.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts, rebuttal. This is again from Willow Springs Police Chief Wes Ellison. Sheriff Campbell, you have said that you want to take over Willow Springs and Mountain View Police. What would this accomplish? Why have you not commissioned any city officers?
Folks, I can confirm that this was an initiative at one point. Sheriff Campbell was encouraging the deputies to recruit officers from the Willow Springs Police Department in an effort to diminish their ranks to the number that they would have to choose to close their doors and contract to the sheriff's office. I don't understand why this would accomplish nothing. Under my leadership, this will not be an issue. Chief Ellison, I can assure you, I have no desire to take over the city of Willow Springs. I think that you all are doing a fine job here, and let's let the city limits be the city limits. If you all need help, we'll gladly be there, and I will provide your officers with commissions. I know that's been a sore spot, and statistically, most sheriffs that I know of commission city officers, so I really don't understand the issue there.
Thank you.
Most probably don't have the amount of city officers, and that is an absolute lie. I'm glad we can just speak lies and do whatever we want to do.
Sheriff Campbell.
I apologize.
Thank you. Then Sheriff Campbell, this is from someone here tonight from West Plains. Can you explain what you found when you came into office?
Say that again?
Sheriff Campbell, can you explain what you found when you came into office at the Sheriff's Department? There's some notes here that says no IMB, I think that's no inventory, and no policies as examples.
There were policies, but they were, the policy that they are running off of was 2009. But again, it's just systems of operation, areas of management. I walked into, again, uncleanness, clutter, and things that have been normalized. It seemed like things that just they ran the show. Jail inmates ran the jail. They could refer to as free grades, do what they wanted to do. I was just trying to, again, bring structured systems and operational oversight to the entirety of the sheriff's office. Address areas of cleanliness. Have people do the duty, what we're assigned to do in this profession at a higher standard.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts, rebuttal.
So it sounds like to me what he's saying is nothing has changed in his 3.5 years he's been there. So he mentioned policies. There was a policy in place. Sheriff Shannon instituted a policy as soon as he took office. But what I would like to mention as far as policies is we are still operating off that 2009 policy. There has been no policy implemented except for some 2016 updates, which was also under Sheriff Shannon. Sheriff Campbell has not instituted any new policies. We hired a company out of Connecticut to rewrite our policy for some reason. And 3.5 years later, here we are, we're still waiting on it.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts, this is a question to you, someone here tonight from West Plains. I personally know a business owner who was upset when she went to open her business and found a Matt Roberts sign in the yard of her private property, a business. Please explain why you say you have heard complaints from others finding Brent signs, when we have heard the same of you. Can you explain?
Without knowing who you're talking about, I cannot explain, but I have endeavored to get permission from every property owner and every business owner or renter in this case before I put up any signs. So I can't speak to that because I don't know who it is.
Okay. Sheriff Campbell, rebuttal?
Signs? No, but I would address the policy part. I knew coming in.
Sheriff Campbell, I'm sorry, this time is for a rebuttal to the question.
So signs, rebuttal.
Okay.
And that's what the question was.
But you want to return to the policy? Okay, I'll see if I have another questions about the policies, and we can come back to that. I said, if you're interested in returning to the question of policies, I'll find another question about policies, and we can return to that, but we're just going to stick to the structure here. Okay, Sheriff Campbell, this is from someone here tonight from West Plains. Sheriff Campbell has mentioned numerous times tonight that he has had to readdress issues with staff members over and over. Why is this an issue? Is it a lack of leadership?
No, it's not lack of leadership, but if you have subordinate leaders under you, so that push forward in certain initiatives. So again, statistically, someone quit after 8 out of 10 quit after one bad day. So my subordinate staff should be driving initiatives. My sheriff and I, we talk about issues on a daily basis. We can't understand why we revisit things that are implied or even specified tasks or why things aren't getting completed. When you have in your own ranks people saying, Compton Harris is lazy, or we're the first way out or easy way out, that scares me to death. But I guess that's kind of the mindset that is in law enforcement today. I have no idea. I don't know why we have to address the same issue and put out fires over and over and over. But again, your supervisors, your different supervisors have to own some of that to drive that mission forward. Everything does not rest on my shoulders.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts, rebuttal.
Folks, as the sheriff, everything absolutely rests on your shoulders. As your sheriff, I will take ownership for everything that my deputies and my employees do. It's absolutely a leadership issue, folks. It's an absentee administrator. It's young deputies that haven't been trained. There's a whole host of issues that we've been talking about here tonight that absolutely are pointing to the exact issues in this question.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts, this is a question to you from someone here from West Plains, or someone here tonight from West Plains. What problems are in place for the youth to be educated on, so I think this should say what programs are in place for the youth to be educated on drug use, specifically from Howell County Sheriff's Office?
There is no program currently in place. Under previous sheriffs, we had the DARE program, and Sergeant Paul Bradshaw that was very active with that program, and he was in most of the schools in this county teaching that program. And Sheriff Campbell cut the funding, and we nixed that program. And he's going to tell you it's because statistically it doesn't work, but I disagree. Even if the drug use is statistically not hindered by this program, we're gaining the rapport, we're gaining the relationships by being in these schools, 4th, 5th, 6th graders, and being there and communicating with them. It's community policing 101, folks. Absolutely needs to be reinstated, and that's one of the first things I'll do in 2024-5.
Thank you. Sheriff Campbell, hello.
I did not cut funding with DARE due to staff and things like that. Sergeant Bradshaw, I have actually asked him recently, what about the DARE program? Because I didn't know when he cycled in and cycled out. You'll hear me talk tonight about initiatives with youth. We get documents, I meet with schools, I provide resource and educational tools. You'll hear me speak tonight about initiatives with youth that we need to get into preventative drug awareness that goes beyond just DARE and into the student body with the older students and things like that as far as use and abuse of substances. So I agree that we absolutely need education in our community. I've said it over and over and over. We have to educate. That is one way that we combat drug abuse, substance abuse, from domestic violence to all these things go back to education. So I absolutely agree that there needs to be some projects in school, and you'll hear me talk about my closing argument.
Thank you.
The way that question is phrased, it kind of seems like it was like they had immediate arrest, so 24 hours we would be compensating at least do that age to get compensating. I agree, there's cases ongoing, I know cases for a year or better, before I send them a problem compensating. But an arrest generally is an immediate issue, completely compensating, it's before you finish the report. 5 days is consistent rule in-house, which reports generated and turn in completion. We should have figures on that, we address, consistently, but that would be my answer on it. Arrest and criminal should be submitted within that, I mean, we could get it more, over 24 hours.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts, we're going to stick with you. This is a question submitted by a reader in Willow Springs. If you were sheriff and you became aware that one of your deputies claimed and was paid for hours that he didn't work, and this was confirmed by your investigators, what would you do? How long would you wait?
That's easy. Immediate termination. If this was confirmed by my investigator, which I know the situation you're talking about, and it was, that would be an immediate termination, and then we would pursue criminal charges against that deputy. In the situation that she's talking about, that issue was brought to light in April of this year, and that deputy was finally put on administrative leave after the investigation was passed to another agency to investigate a second time, just about 2 weeks ago when that deputy was put on administrative leave. So he continued to act as a law enforcement officer, to have access to the systems and utilize the office of sheriff for his benefit for 3 months after this came to light. That's absolutely unacceptable, and that is the kind of stuff that erodes the trust in our sheriff's office.
Thank you. Sheriff Campbell.
With that one, was direct personnel, I don't know if I can speak to it, but there was a multitude of issues that occurred during that investigation, and I don't even know if I can speak to it properly, because of the fact of, I want to so bad, but I don't know if I can. So, if things are properly channeled through the proper procedures, say hypothetical, this came through and everything was properly done, if it was properly done, so as far as a formal complaint process, there wasn't voids in anything, absolutely, I agree. I'm handcuffed and transported my deputies to jail, but this is, what I know they're talking about, I shouldn't probably even be speaking about, but there are reasons why it was removed from an overtime project, but I am going to be more conservative with the and get it to an outside agency due to the fact of what did occur. So again, there's a magnitude of things that occurred through that, and he has no idea what it is or what I'm talking about, or administratively, the protection you have to do, because that deputy has rights as well.
I do want to stick with you, and this is a question from me that I think is going to help everybody understand because we're kind of skirting around it. Sheriff Campbell, what is your hesitation to speak out and speak plainly about these circumstances?
From an administrative standpoint, I can't talk about personnel issues. I can't go into detail. I will totally, when anything comes to the light or whatever, when I afford the opportunity and able to, I absolutely will let the citizens know. But being administrator and HR issues and personnel issues, you cannot really speak to in any direct form. So I don't want to go too far here tonight. We probably all did technically, but personnel issues are protected, and that person has rights, and certain procedures have to be followed, but that's fine.
Do you remember about Mr. Roberts?
I do. Folks, this issue has been pending for 3 months. There was an investigation done. It was found that this crime happened, and rather than pursue charges, it was passed to another agency. That deputy should have been immediately placed on administrative leave, if not terminated. There's no excuse for this.
Again, he has no idea what he's talking about internally, or what happened during the course of that investigation.
You had 40 seconds on that.
So, folks, it's no secret that I still have ties to the Howell County Sheriff's Office. A number of those are members of the FOP, which recently endorsed me. They speak to me, they call me, they tell me what's going on in this agency. So I could lay out the entire investigation right here, right now, if I needed to, but I'm not going to do that.
Thank you.